And honestly, again, like that's why I love dating, because not just for all the good dates, like for the weird shit too. Okay, so I mean, from just like, there's like the unhinged openers of just like, I had somebody message me recently actually being just like comment on one of my pictures saying like, I would let you hit me with your car.
Hello, and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka seanydoo. You can call me Sean, seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here, and I have a special guest with me on the show. This lovely lady right here. She is so amazing. She is a powerhouse. I, cannot wait to introduce my special guest. Thank you so much for being here, first and foremost.
Oh my God. Thanks for having me. What an intro. I'm going to live on this podcast. It's good for my soul.
Yes. My special guest is Jaz Zepatos. She is a New York City based comedian, a writer, a director. Okay, pop off. Go all the way the fuck off. She's been called the love child of Dua Lipa and Weird Al based on her hot comedy bops, including Plant Daddy and Gorgeous Girls Have IBS, where she's not hustling nonstop for the dream. She's eating a fat bagel and trying to look cool on rollerblades. I love that. You know what? That is just so amazing. So everybody give a very warm welcome to my guest, Jaz Zepatos.
Hey.
Like you are such a busy person, like so many different avenues. Like, how do you have time for sleep, social life, all of that? Like,
it's called being a New Yorker. We like to burn the candle at all ends. If you're not busy here, it feels like something's wrong. You just have to. And we're in an age now where it's like you have to be able to do it all. You got to be able to like bring the talent, but then also know how to tape yourself, edit yourself, produce yourself, put yourself out there. So I'm a jazz of all trades.
Absolutely. I love that, jazz of all trades. Mm-hmm. That's a shirt right there. That's a t-shirt.
Okay. You heard it here when my store goes live.
Yes. And you all know what this show is about. This show is about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we. And
I love it.
Yes. Oh yeah. I gotta, kind of keep the people on their toes,
Nothing does that better than talking about dating and relationships because it's wild out here.
Oh yes. It is so wild, unhinged. And we are going to be talking about all the things dating in New York, dating in Chicago, like the millennial, like adulting scene, because of course, we're all trying to adult. We're all trying to just be our best selves and present our best selves. And, then we're going to be talking about the comedy scene as well, because, Jaz, she is deep into this comedy scene. Like, if you, y'all should follow her on Instagram and see her reels. They are lit as fuck.
Do it. Let's be friends.
Yes, exactly. And then also, I want you all to join the Patreon, patreon.com/Situaseans podcast. That's where you all will get the behind the scenes content, the dating app makeovers, the dating app screenshots from the dates that I go on for the behind the scenes context. And, we're going to start doing some live streaming and also some merch. So yeah, we got it all there. And then, also today on the show, we're going to be unpacking a listener submission about red flag and unhinged openers and messages on Tinder. Ooh, Jaz, why are people
this is a world.
Yeah.
This is a world I know well. Okay. I could share some of my own that I think can hold up.
Oh my goodness. And then, we'll be unpacking some unhinged and unhinged dating app props. So yeah, I just cannot wait for all of that. So yeah, kind of just starting off from the top, Jaz, I want to know, and the listeners and the viewers, they want to know kind of like, what is it about you in your current dating, environment? Are you single? Are you dating? Are you in a relationship? Are you married? Polyamorous? What's going on?
Oh boy, Sean. It's not a short answer. Okay. I spent the last 2 years in an open marriage, so ethically non-monogamous, and we recently separated. So I guess I am now single, but also still legally married.
Okay.
But still living the ethically non-monogamous lifestyle, just doing me and making connections and finding intimacy with interesting people and, just living my Carrie Bradshaw Sex and the City chapter here in New York. So it's never a dull moment.
All right. Okay. Like, I love that you are doing you. I love that you are, finding those connections and just being among people that you enjoy spending your time with. And I think that's really important.
It is. When I started that marriage, it was monogamous. And I found that after some time, great relationship, great person. Even now we are very amicable. But I just found that I liked the part of my life where like I always had an interesting story to tell. I always had some kind of hilarious date fail or a really steamy story to tell I'm a storyteller by nature, by trade. This is what I do. And I missed having that. And so, plus a lot of sex. And so when we opened our relationship and our marriage, I realized like how much more full a life can be when not only are you sharing intimacy and sexy moments with somebody, but you're having the opportunity to meet people and hear their stories and learn about them, but learn about yourself in the process. And, I just think it makes life more full.
Absolutely. Wow. And some people, especially in the dating environment, are like new to the polyamory world or may not necessarily understand. And I think, and especially in the last, I want to say maybe like the last 2-3 years, I think a lot more people are kind of becoming more aware about it. I mean, of course, polyamory has been around forever. Since the existence of human civilization, but
correct.
But I think in these last couple of years, I think a lot less people are shaming it, if that makes sense. Because
yes,
and how would you communicate to somebody who may not necessarily know about that world? How would you say like, hey, it's not, it's not being a hoe or a slut or whatever. Like this is something that we have both come to an agreement on as far as like our relationship. I mean, of course, it kind of starts with, hey, this is none of your business. But if you really want to judge, like this is kind of how it is.
No, but you know what? Like I feel like it is their business because for me, a goal of mine is to just completely normalize that lifestyle. And to know too, like there's like kitchen table polyamory, and then there's ethical non-monogamy, which is, two very different things. One being like everyone sort of hanging out together. One being like, hey, you're going to do your thing sometimes. I'm going to do my thing sometimes. But for one, I think with any sort of alternative lifestyle, the initial feeling of pushback that comes up with people is like, oh, you're not going to push this on me. Oh, I'm not, this isn't for me. And it's like, it may not be for you, and that's completely okay.
Right.
It's not even for every relationship. Like while it worked very successfully in my marriage, and to be clear, the separation had nothing to do with that. If anything, I felt like that kept our relationship going a bit longer. But I've been in relationships where it wouldn't have worked. So it really is down to the kind of connection that the two very specific people share. And so if it feels right, if the trust is there, if the foundation is there, what I found was, I think in monogamy, there is sort of like, there's just a given. It's like, well, we're monogamous and this is what we do. Whereas when you decide to open up your relationship, there is a level of communication and transparency that needs to come into play for it to work, that I feel like is a deeper level of intimacy than I had ever experienced with a partner. Because you are sharing parts of yourself that you have never shared. And that's not to say that these things are always easy to hear or easy to say. But if you can approach it with an open mind and truly embrace all of the aspects of your partner, you are going to get to know them on a level that you didn't before. And if you continue to love them, you are loving all of them, not just the appropriate parts of them.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No. I'm glad.
No, go for it.
I feel too, I gotta say, like during the pandemic, I had a lot of downtime, as we all did. And I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of thinking. I did a lot of learning and unlearning. And I started to, there's a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle that I highly recommend, that really challenged the way I thought about my life. And this was before I opened my relationship. And it was just starting to ask yourself the questions of, what are the rules in life that I've been following without asking why? And now, who made those rules? And did they make those rules with my best interest? And usually the answer was no. Usually, in terms of the way that we see monogamy and the nuclear family structure and all of these things that we are very commonplace now and are sort of like the appropriate lifestyles, like that really just ties into like some fairly new, as in comparison to, like you said, we're not in ancient Greece and bathhouses, like having orgies and it's all good. But, like fairly new concepts of like what's appropriate. And to be honest, for myself as a woman, monogamy was not created in my best interest, especially because men have been ignoring that concept for centuries. Like, you don't hear any sort of historical stories of British kings or this, or even like the Mad Men era of 50s men in their business suits fooling around with their secretaries. Like, yep. Men were always sort of like expected to fool around, and monogamy really only applied to women. And that was because we didn't have sort of like even the legal protections to get away with it. We were either beheaded or we weren't even able to have our own bank accounts like until the 80s. And so for some people, and so it's like we would lose everything if we decided that we wanted to experience something else or experiment with a different part of our sensuality. So I feel like as more people have felt sort of emboldened to take an opportunity to live a more full life, because again, as far as we know, we only have one and it is short. We should experience all of the things that we want to, as long as we're not hurting anybody, as long as we're honest with our partner and everybody's on the same page. Because now there's so much less to lose. And I feel like in that sense, like it's very empowering to be able to embrace your sexuality, to embrace all of the parts of you, and explore all of the things that life has to offer.
Absolutely. That was so beautifully put. And to those that are listening and watching, I hope you all are kind of taking that in, because like these are just really, really, really like valid points that Jaz is bringing up. And, it does kind of come from like that double standard of like, men were always, free to roam and do whatever, while women were just held to these like constructions. And I'm glad that, especially like in these last few years, people have been able to take power back in that, ethically non-monogamous and polyamorous space. So I just love that. And so I got to say, go all the way the fuck off again.
Yeah, I've done a lot of, again, it's like, it comes from a very like passionate place. I'm passionate about the subject. And that's not to say that like, I may find in the future a relationship where monogamy feels like the right way to do that, but if that's the case, it means all my needs are being met. And just like marriage being like, it's forever or you're going to hell. Like, it's like, why are we following rules based in religions sometimes that we don't even necessarily subscribe to, where it's like, enjoy if something's no longer suiting you or something really is suiting you, like embrace the change. We are growing and changing all the time. You're not who you were 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. So just like, as you would say, go all the way off and just
all the way the fuck off,
all the way the fuck off and do you all the way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And, in my own situation, I was married in 2016 and divorced in 2018. So married for 2 years to make a
congratulations.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. Like that, I should have had a divorce party.
We should. That's another thing we should normalize.
Yeah.
Like why is fiance so celebrated, but divorcee to me, like that's a way sexier term. Like you've seen some shit, you came back probably hotter, and you're like, you're ready to conquer the world after that.
Exactly. It's like a whole new era, right?
That's right.
Yeah. My then fiance cheated on me a month before the wedding. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Someone slid in her DMs and I guess it just got out of hand. And he backed her.
Internet.
Right? The fucking internet. So he backed her into a corner, kind of was like, if you don't keep meeting up or sending nudes, I'm going to tell your guy what you're doing. And so she just came out and told me. So if that kind of, I guess, interaction never happened, if he never, I guess gave her like that ultimatum, she probably still would have been doing it to and I never would have known. But still went through with the wedding and everything because I was like, well, we've known each other for so long. Maybe I can learn to forgive and forget, but just couldn't.
No, that's tough. And that's another example of, if she had been feeling some type of way, felt like something was missing or she wanted to explore something, she could have come to speak to you earlier before it got down that rabbit hole where now she's being blackmailed on the internet. Like, I don't want to speak for you, but if I had been in your situation and my partner had come to me and said like, you know what, I'm feeling tempted to explore some things. It may not be like the greatest feeling necessarily, but it's a lot better than the alternative, which is, hey, I acted on those impulses without telling you how I felt. And now we're in this situation. And it's, oof, that's tough. That is tough.
Yeah. Cause I do agree with that point. Yeah. Cause even if she was wanting to explore something, I definitely would have been like, okay, yeah, thank you for telling me, like,
don't love it.
Exactly.
But then you could have made your decision where you could have said like, I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with that. Seems like you're not ready to commit to a marriage. Or you could have said, you know what, maybe I have some things I want to explore before we get married too. You know what I mean? But there would have been options as opposed to you having to be in a situation where now you're like, oh, can I get over this? The caterers are paid for. Like, what am I going to do here? It puts you in an unfair position with fewer options to explore, which is not ideal. I feel like... And that was sort of the decisions I was facing when I had asked for my marriage to be open, where, I had my days where I was like, am I going to entertain this DM? Am I going to blow up my life and just like run away because it feels like I'm not living in my truth? Like, what am I going to do? And it just felt like the kinder, gentler thing to do to take it. Cause I was risking it then too. Like I could have said that to my husband. He could have been like, fuck off. Like, I'll see you never. Like, it's this or nothing. I was fortunate to have a very progressive partner who was willing to try it out, but at least like there's less damage done, I think, before you sort of take the leap into cheating territory. And that just hurts everyone, you know. I'm sure she wasn't like comfortably sleeping at night either, but you know.
Yeah. It definitely was a tricky situation on both ends, but you know, wish her all the best and everything. After the divorce was final, I was just like, yep, I don't want any contact, you know, like you do you, I'm gonna do me, and
fresh start.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So, you know, kind of opening things back up. So you are in New York City, the Big Apple, East Coast.
I want to say best city in the world, but I know that might offend so much Chi-Town lovers, so I won't say it. But I'm thinking it.
I'm trying to get me canceled. Nah.
Exactly. Interview over.
No, yeah, I definitely love like there's so many like similarities and differences between like Chicago and New York for sure.
Totally.
But totally. I know Chicago and New York are going to hate me for saying this, but my favorite city in the entire United States is Los Angeles.
Wow. Bold move. Yeah. Bold move. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. You know what? I've spent my fair amount of time in LA, and I got to say, like, because I worship the sun, I'm not a winter baby. It's just not me. But I will say there's something about, especially when it comes to dating, like cities like Chicago and New York, I feel like it's just easier to like make connections, just to get on a train, as opposed to like, oh, I can't imagine, especially now with online dating. It's like you meet somebody online, you're like, I don't even, especially now, like for those of us, we're like all kind of like semi burned out. Like every other day, we're like, oh, literally, fuck this. But now, you know, so then it's like, all right, I can hop on the subway. I can get there in 20 minutes. I can, you know, suss out the situation. If it's not great, I'll hop 3 blocks down to another bar and have a good night, whatever. But you're going to tell me like I may or may not have a completely shit time, but beforehand I need to sit in traffic for an hour and change just to get there. Like I would talk myself out of it before I even got in the car. Like we need it to be easier to get to that date, not harder.
I agree. Yeah. LA traffic is no joke at all.
No joke. I have heard that dating there is a nightmare, but you know, dating everywhere can be a nightmare. It just depends on how you approach it.
One thing that Jared Freed was talking about, for those of you that are listening that may not know Jared Freed, he's a comedian. He does Betches You Up podcast. He works with Jazz as well, and Jordana
That's
Abraham. Right. So look him up.
I'm a betch.
Yes. But Jared Freed, he always says there's an LA no, and I agree so much with it, because I guess it's kind of like yeah, we should totally do it, but like, but what they're meaning, what they're really saying is no, please don't put
absolutely not
on that offer. Exactly. So
see, that's the thing. Like New Yorkers cut to the chase way sooner. You know, we don't have time to waste. Let's just get to the point.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jared's hilarious. I actually did a segment they had me on, so I work at the Betches, at Betches Media. I work in the podcast department there, and word got around the office about my situation. And so they had me on the You Up podcast to talk about my open relationship. And Jordana and Jared asked me lots of questions. We had a really good time. But it is usually that kind of thing. Like, where do we even begin? Like, where do we even start? This feels so out there. But what was nice is we got a lot of listener response from that episode being like, oh, like hearing a normal person talk about it in like a way that I can understand makes it feel like not that crazy. So that's good. We're spreading the good word.
Absolutely. Yes. I got to give you another go all the way to fuck off. Go all the way to fuck off. Get your go all the way to fuck off t-shirt. If you're watching, it's going to like pop up right here. So
yes. Get that. I would like a baby tee that says a little crop top.
Yes. Done and done.
Done and done.
Yeah. So you grew up in New York, right?
I was born in New York. I grew up in sunny South Florida, like Fort Lauderdale, Deerfield Beach, a little beach baby. And then as soon as I graduated school, I moved up like 2 weeks later. I was just like raring to get back to the city. And so I've been here since 2012. which ages me significantly. But, and it's funny, like this city it reflects back at you where you are in your life. Like if you are in a great place, it's the greatest city in the world. If you're like feeling like shit, it's the worst place to be. But if you can hack it, like if you can align yourself and make this city your ally, there's just unlimited opportunity here, whether it's for career moves, whether it's for love, like it's all going on.
All right. Yeah, I definitely love the New York scene from the couple of times that I've been there. And one of the complaints that I hear from so many New Yorkers is like the cost of living. Is like how do you all deal with that? Chicago's starting to turn into that. I mean, it's already expensive to live here in Chicago, but yeah.
And I'm going through it right now because I just got separated. And so I found myself like a very sweet, like basically like my dream studio apartment in my dream neighborhood. But it was definitely like a leap in the net will appear type of situation because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to afford this, but I'm going to figure it out and the universe will provide. And so far it is. But, it's just like, it's almost like you have to be a little bit crazy to believe that you can afford to live here. And then you just, like Tina Fey has a quote, who is my absolute hero. She has a quote that's like, say yes and figure it out later.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. You have to be kind of Delulu to get to live here but to be fair, like, yeah, I've had weeks where I've lived on Cheerios, but like you figure it out and you make it work if you want to be here. It's high risk, high reward.
Absolutely. Yes. No, for sure. And Betches, yeah, like let's give Jaz a $1 million bonus. Let's do it.
Oh, please. Everybody write in at Betches. Tell them I'm a valuable asset. Let's go.
So what are your thoughts about the dating scene in New York? Is it hinged or is it unhinged?
Ooh, that's good. I mean, here's the thing about New York is that like just the sheer numbers alone, like there's no way you're not going to get some unhinged stuff. Like it's just, there's so many different people from different walks of life packed in here at different levels of like personal growth, of feeling jaded, of feeling scorned, of feeling like completely hopeful and dewy and bright-eyed. So you really run the gamut. And so, but there's some weird out there for sure. There's some weird out there. I've gotten my share of unhinged intros without a doubt. I mean, you let me know when it's time to share, but there's oh yeah. Well, especially now, like, there's this app called Field.
Yeah.
And which is very like kink forward. And to be fair, like, let's not confuse kink with unhinged because it's not. We do not kink shame. But I feel like that app is like it's almost like it's like a safe place for people to be like, here's everything about me. Like, it's not the norm. So if you're coming to this app, you know what you're going to get. But even on an app like Hinge, which is where I frequent, you get your fair share of stuff where you're like, does this work for you? It's had to have worked at least one time, or there's no way you're continuing to do it. Or there's like the surprised unhinged where like you chat and it's very normal, and then you get on the date and you're like, oh no, oh, absolutely not. No, you did not. But I feel like there's a lot of pressure here to succeed in all walks of life. So people are like, they're going for it, whether they're like looking for something serious or they're just looking to get laid, which is fine too. But like, they want to stand out. They want to be special. They want to get your attention because it's, there's so many fish in the New York Sea. And so it's like, I would so much rather somebody just be like, I feel like at the end of the day, most of us are just like, please be normal. Like,
Right.
don't be special. I don't need you to be like the one in a million. I just need you like not to accost me. Like, just please, I don't want to end up in your freezer. And that's like the baseline.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's just so sad that like, that there's just so many, like men fucking do better, like first and foremost. And like, and it is so sad that unfortunately that women do have to, be way more hyper aware when they're going on dates, because it's like, yeah, like that's like every woman's like first like thought, like, am I going to make it home at the end of the night?
Yeah. And hey, like there are some kooky women out there too. I don't want to put it all on men, but to be fair, just from like a survival standpoint, yeah, usually we have to be a bit more careful, especially in a big city. And I mean, I myself, like I'm sober. And a big part of that is like, I grew up seeing women get dangerously drunk, out in the world at parties, on dates, whatever it is. I've had my own situations where I've gotten too drunk on a date and found myself in a dicey situation. And unfortunately, like that's a reality of like, you need to make sure that you can get yourself home, because this is a first date with a stranger from the internet. So like, it's just a prettier formatted Craigslist. Like that's literally, it's not that different. You should consider it just as dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. And even like, well, what you were talking about on, like a few moments ago about Field. Oh my goodness. Like I just got on Field, like as of like recently. And, yeah, like I do feel a different like dating environment on Field versus, those traditional dating apps. Like,
yeah,
it's a different field for sure.
They all have a different flavor, like we know what's going on Tinder. We know why people are on Tinder. We know, I feel like on Hinge, it's a little more like looking for something kind of more, not that you can't like have something casual, but like something that there's potential for something serious. And Field is like, I want to explore with my clothes off. And like, that's great. Like, I'm glad that there is a place for people to do that and live their truth. That's good. As long as it's, you're putting it out there, for me, it's like, give me all your kinks up top. Like, tell me what, don't surprise me later.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Kind of going like I really love that you said that, because if somebody were to have, like, let's say if somebody, makes their profile or whatever on Field, it's almost like a double standard between like Field and like Hinge and all the other, regular dating apps. Like, if like, doesn't matter if you're like a man, woman, or whatever, like someone identifies as, if they have their profile or whatever on Field, they would not be able to translate that same profile from Field on Hinge, because they would just get bashed for it. Like that screenshot. It would immediately end up on, are we dating the same guy or?
Yes. Yes. Like there's like this new social account that just popped up that I won't name names, but it's like one of those sort of like accounts that's like crazy shit that you see on dating profiles, blah, blah, blah. And one was literally a screenshot from somebody's Field. And I was like, this post is just kink shaming somebody. Like this is not an offensive post. This is just simply a person saying like, this is what I'm into. If you're into this, great. And I was just like, that's kind of fucked up. Like you know what you're going to get when you go into Field. And like, that's what it's about. And it's not about going in there to be like, what a freak. Like, it's about going in there being like, what a freak. Let's go.
So, what are some of your favorite things about New York?
Oh, where do I even begin? Okay. It feels like, for one, I feel like there is the freedom to be whoever you want, even if that changes from day to day. Like there is a level of anonymity here where like, once you get used to it, like I feel like there's a time and place in life where like, we grow up, we're teenagers. It's like, we're like very self-conscious. You get to New York, and once you've been here for a few years, you're like, I bet you there's not one person who hasn't lived here for longer than a few years who hasn't cried on the subway or on the sidewalk somewhere, or thrown up in public, or fallen down, or yelled expletives on the phone. Like there's just like, And because New Yorkers have seen it all. So there's nothing that you could do that would shock them really or make them judge you. Like there is just, and there's freedom in that to be like, especially when there are a lot of people that are like, well, I can't do this in my apartment because I'm living with 8 people in a 2-bedroom. And so like, I got to get all my crying time out on the street. Like, it's just like, it's, there's a lot of freedom there. And because there are so many different kinds of people, like you get to try it out. You get to try out who you want to be and different identities and different outfits. And today I want to be wild with my fashion. And tomorrow I want to be whatever. Like you can go for it in a way where it's just like, people just don't give a shit. Like they just don't care because everyone has so much going on with themselves. So there is definitely freedom in that. It's funny. Like I try to encourage that with people, especially like if I'm on a date with a guy who's like a little more like, there is a man that I'm like, I see here and there and I can just tell like he's a little buttoned up. He's a little reserved. And I'm just like, I want to encourage him to feel like you're never going to see any of these people again. Like sing a song, like do what, dance to this, dance when your jam comes on, like just like live to your fullest because no one cares. So that's really great. Also like you could live in this city for a decade as I have. There's still places you haven't been. There's still people you haven't met. There's still streets you haven't walked down. I mean, when I met my ex-husband, like when we tracked back, like we had been living in the city near each other, like hanging out at the same bar, like for years. And it's like, how crazy. It's like an episode of How I Met Your Mother. Like you're like constantly circling each other. And which to me, like there's something very romantic about that of like, your true love could be like right around the corner at all time. It's just like, or your, the love of right now or, whatever it is. It's like, because there's so much going on. There's so much possibility for life and for love that just feels super romantic to me. Like it's the most, to me, like, yeah, there's like piss and shit everywhere, but like, it's still the most romantic city I can think of.
For sure. Yeah. I a lot of those similarities are like kind of translates over to Chicago as well. People here have seen a lot of shit too. And it's kind of like you meet people from different walks of life, especially in the subways for sure.
Oh yeah. That's not to say you should do everything you feel like doing on the streets of New York, which is evidenced in the subway. But that's another thing. It's wild, like what you get used to as a New Yorker. Like you're just like, oh, all right, well, his dick is out, so moving on. Like,
exactly. In big cities like ours, it's like, yeah, that's a Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is why people can say, like, people in cities like Chicago, New York, Boston, whatever, they're like, oh, they're hard. Like, they're not nice. The people are mean there. And it's like, we're not mean. We have to have like a certain shield up just to like get through our commute to work without being like deeply upset by something we witness. Like we have to have a level of disconnect and kind of like a tough outer shell. But to be honest, like when I, have been in situations in public where like, I had a situation where a man who was not well, like attacked me in the street. And when I say like New Yorkers, they help each other out. Like New Yorkers will step in and get shit done. Like we're in a post 9/11 world. Like they're like, we got this. We can fucking conquer anything. I had people grabbing me, grabbing him, calling the cops, making sure I'm okay. Like blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I once like fell in between the subway car and the Gap and had one leg in the train and one leg down in between. And when I say these men, like, I know I've had some traumatic shit happen to me, which now like I have to laugh about. But like, when I say there were 2 men prying open the subway doors, another 2 like hoisting me out, like, making sure, do I need to go see a doctor? Like, people, they seem aloof, but like when shit goes down, they are there. They are stepping into action. And that is like, that's the best you can hope for. I don't need someone to just like give me a polite wave, but then look the other way if I need help, you know?
Right.
So yeah, my New Yorkers, they got my back.
All
and
right.
my front.
Pop off, New York. Love it. So, yeah. So like, what's your wildest New York City dating story? Like, let's get into all the unhinged shit.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Where like my friends say, they're like, why haven't you written a book? Like, because, and honestly, again, like that's why I love dating, because not just for all the good dates, like for the weird shit too. Okay. So, I mean, from just like, you know, there's like the unhinged openers of just like, you know, I had somebody message me recently actually being just like comment on one of my pictures saying like, I would let you hit me with your car. like, I think that's a compliment. Not yet something I've explored. I will keep an open mind.
Right.
There are some days where I'd be like, you know what? Let's fucking go. I could really use that. But
Hey, that's a new kink right there.
I guess that means I'm very hot. No, okay. So one of my favorite stories to tell is this one. So this is several years ago. I was dating a man pretty casually, but you know, like, you know, you just even casual, like, you know, we all know like the gray area of the situationship. Like we haven't labeled it. We don't, you know, whatever. So I'm seeing this guy. It's going fairly well. And he decides to tell me that, you know, a couple nights ago, he got into an Uber pool. And for anyone young listening to this,
right.
That's when we used to share our Ubers with strangers. I think they brought it back, but
right.
Yeah, it was gone for a while. So he was in an Uber pool and a woman got in and they hit it off and she went home with him and they dropped acid and had sex. And I was like, okay, thank you for telling me this. I was like, wow, bold moves. I mean, like, you know, I know, I've heard of one night stands, but like to meet in the Uber pool, that only gives you like, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes tops to get to know each other before you're going to go back to a strange man's apartment, drop acid and have sex with him. I was like, wow, okay. Thank you for sharing. Good for you. He's like, yeah, you know, she's like super adventurous and she really wants to have a threesome with another girl. And I was wondering if you might be down. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, you know, send me a picture.
Yeah.
So he sends me a picture of this woman, you know, attractive woman. Unfortunately, she happened to be my therapist at the time.
What? Oh
this
my
is my
goodness.
Therapist. Yeah.
Wow.
It was my therapist. Uber pool woman was my therapist. And yeah, yes, which is unfortunate because when something like that happens, typically your first reaction is like, I should go have a session with my therapist. However,
right, exactly. It's like, how do you bring this up?
Yep. And I was like, oh my God. Well, I guess it's a good thing I asked for a picture first, you know, because there could have been a world where I was like, yeah, baby, I'm cool. Let me just roll in.
Right. Open that door. Oh.
I'd be like, is this covered by my insurance or? So of course, you know,
right.
The threesome did not go down. And of course, when my therapist found out that about what had happened, she was horrified because of course, like therapists are known for keeping a pretty low profile.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, she was like, I think you should come in and we should talk about this. And I was like, I don't think that's right. I don't think I want to do that. Yeah. So, and then to top it all off, so I break up with my therapist and this guy. So I lose two for the price of one. Yeah. And, then she's saying things to him like, this is very like Jaz, you know, it's very normal for her that she would like minimize her feelings and this is how she copes with it. I'm like, don't share this is patient doctor confidentiality. Like,
Right.
How about I go on Therapy Today and start talking about your extracurricular activities? Like, not cool, lady. Not cool.
Wow.
But yeah, that's one of my like, only in New York does this shit happen. Like,
yeah. Wow.
So that's one of my faves. One of my faves.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Like that's something that you would not be able to ever forget. Yeah. Like that's something that's going to stick around forever. But yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Like, wow.
Hey, you got it. I'm a real open book over here. I have no shame anymore.
And, you know, like you just being like such a light of joy and just being so open. I think that really translates well to your comedy and everything that you post online and your content. It's so fire. And so, how long have you been doing comedy? And then on top of that, yeah, like what led to your passion for comedy?
Oh, well, thank you. First of all, I mean, so I was a child actor. So I started acting professionally from the time I was 6. And so been in the biz a long time. And then, you know, I went to school for theater. I moved to the city. And, you know, it didn't take me long before I realized like when your passion becomes your job, it changes. And I also realized I was really craving some autonomy in what I was doing. You know, like I would, like so many actors in New York, just like auditioning your ass off and waiting tables and not getting any sleep and waking up early for auditions and grinding. And then finally getting cast in something, you know, getting chosen. And then sometimes it's not that good. Like it's not even a good project and or like the director is not great or the script isn't great. And you're like, I'm not even proud of this. So at a certain point, I was like, why am I on my knees like for opportunities when like I can do this myself? Like,
yeah.
No, you know, I'm looking at these people who are doing projects that aren't great and I'm like, I could do this better. And like, why am I waiting for permission? So I stopped waiting for permission and I started my own production studio where I started producing and directing like funny video content. I put out my first project which was my like part of my passion is musical comedy. So I love to write a parody. I love to do a funny music video, hence the Dua Lipa Weird Al Love Child. And I just like I fell in love with it. I was just like, one, I love making people laugh. I love telling stories. Not only that, I love running a set where like I am employing all of the talented friends that I have in my network who are so good at what they do, whether it's the cameraman, whether it's the team of dancers, whether, you know, whatever it is. Like I love giving people the opportunity to work on set for a day instead of going to their side job, you know, and paying them to do it. Like it feels really good to create something you love with people you really like. It's just that there's nothing that beats it. And in terms of comedy specifically, I mean, I'm funny. And
yes, you are.
I was like the kid that would stay up past my bedtime to watch Saturday Night Live, like from the time I was super young. Like I've just been so in love with comedy and comedians all my life. It was like the earliest if we're going to dive a little deep and get therapize it, it was like the first thing I felt like I could truly bond over with my dad.
Yeah.
Like he loved comedy and I felt like if I could do, if I could watch these things with him, if I could do the impression of Austin Powers that made him laugh, like we would be closer. And so like, it's actually, you know what, come to think of it, my career started with my daddy issues is clearly where we're going. But you know, I love making people laugh. We live in a fucking crazy world and I just want to make people laugh while the world burns. Like I've had my days where I'm just like, oh, this feels so trite, like in comparison to what goes on in the world. But then ultimately I'm reminded like now more than ever, I feel like a commercial in COVID, now more than ever, people need to laugh. Like people need to have moments of levity so that we don't all like walk off a bridge. It's just like, and to me, like part of the like having no shame and trying to be super relatable and super open is that I feel like the best comedy is the kind where people see themselves in your material. People, like a lot of what I do is like, I do a lot of nostalgia content, but I do a lot of like, here are all the cringiest parts of me. And I know that they are also the cringiest parts of you. And that's when a video pops off on the internet, is when people are like, oh my God, this is so me. Like I am this person. And just, not being that self-conscious teenager that's like, oh my God, I have to hide this tampon, but being the adult that's like, hey, guess what? We all get our periods. Like, it's just like, just embracing all of like the cringy, embarrassing, disgusting parts of being a human being that we all share. Like, there's no reason to feel isolated in your life experience because we are all going through it, or more people than you would imagine. And so I really try to make people feel less alone, more understood. And make them laugh. Just make them laugh. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yes. And you do such an amazing job at it. So yeah, keep on going with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Big things coming. I am saying as I manifest my dreams.
Yes, absolutely. And then, when you get your Netflix comedy special, I only have one request. Please give me a front row seat to your show.
Oh, you got it, babe. You're so there. You are so there. And I'll come back. I'll come back on the podcast,
Yay.
I'm all famous.
Right? Remember the little people. Yes. Yes, I love that. And it's so cool that you come from you come from the entertainment, background, entertainment world in general. And yeah, and like me, I come from theater acting. I do a lot of musical theater and stuff like that. Yeah.
Theater kid. Let's go.
And, I absolutely love doing theater. Honestly, if I could quit my day job and just pursue theater and film acting full time, I would. Because
there's something really special about it. I mean, no matter how many videos I do or films or whatever, I would never not return to the theater if the right opportunity presented itself. Because much like live comedy, like there's something about being in a room with with a live audience, which is why it's still, like you would think, and the rise of Netflix and streaming, like, why would we need live anything? But it's because there is this like intangible thing of being in a room and witnessing something together, and the energy that comes from a live performance based on the audience energy. Like, it is pure magic. And that's why people continue to go to the theater. There's nothing that gets me more than like going to see like a Broadway show and having like the overture start and the curtain go up, or being in the audience or being on stage for that moment. It's like, there is nothing like that on the planet.
Absolutely. I wholeheartely agree. So yeah, like to my agents, can y'all book me for some more theater gigs? Commercial gigs? Come on.
Go. And to the world, can you pay theater artists more money so that they can afford to do theater? Thank you.
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna manifest it here. And like,
that's right.
One of my good friends, she recently started saying "woman fest," and so I love that. We're gonna woman fest it into the world.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
That's really fun.
Right.
What manifest?
Oh, that's even better. I love that. What manifest? Yeah.
There we go.
That's got to be a t-shirt too. And like, you'll definitely get half the profits for that one because yeah.
I appreciate it. Right. Because I said it. Yes.
Exactly. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, Herbal Face Food, the most potent anti-aging, multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off, all right? Herbalfacefood.com, okay? Y'all got the hookup, so let them know that Situaseans podcast sent you, all right? Yeah, so you currently work at Betches Media. Absolutely love that. We stan Betches so much. I love listening to the You Up podcast, Jared Freed, Jordana Abraham. Let's fucking go. To all the listeners and viewers, I know a lot of y'all have heard about Betches. So yeah, you are going to get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain with this interview with Jaz, right?
Well, inside look at Betches HQ. That's right.
Yes. So like, what is it like working at Betches? And then, I love, again, I love all the podcasts, that they do. And then, what is it like working with Jordana and, Jared, Sammy, Aileen? What is it like working with everybody there?
I will say I've never been more up to date on my pop culture news than I am now. I mean, like, I used to feel like the grandma of my friend group. And now I'm like, oh, no. Like, this housewife is now dating this person and this, and now Ariana, this is what's going on with Ariana and Timothy. Like, it's just like, I'm very up to date on what's going on with Taylor and Travis. But, it is like, for one, it's always like a joy to be working at a company that is female founded. Like, that is, these girls started this company in their dorm room. So like, to see the kind of empire that they've built is very inspiring, very impressive. Big snaps for those gals.
Oh yeah.
And to see this grow with them as they are going through different phases in their lives, getting married and having children and all of these things. It is cool to feel like you're part of like a female empowerment vibe. I myself, like I refer to myself, I'm like a recovering guy's girl. So I grew up like with mostly guy friends, like good girlfriends, but few. Like I'm not the most overtly feminine. And so like I was nervous to work there.
Yeah.
Like, there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, this is going to be like joining a sorority and I'm not going to fit in and blah, blah, blah. But everyone it's a great office environment. Everyone's super nice. It's also cool. Like every other day, there's like another like cool comedian or Bravo celebrity walking in the door to do a podcast. Like it's good vibes. It's good vibes there. I hope to continue to grow there. I hope to, maybe one day host my own show at Betches. We'll see, but it's always a treat, and it is always like some new, especially too, like I help out too with the video team and create content for the social platforms. And so it's like, in the middle of the workday, we're just like running around shooting like Saltburn, videos that make fun of this, or like suddenly somebody's in like dressed up like a Victorian queen in costume. Like there's always something weird going on.
Yeah.
And there's always good snacks in the kitchen. So,
all right.
It's been a good experience there so far. And hopefully it continues.
I love that. Yes. I can't tell you how many times I've like reposted Betches content to like the podcast IG story. Yeah. Y'all are putting out great content.
Oh yeah. Well, especially like the You Up pod. Shout out to Candace who runs that account. Like her dating content for the You Up podcast Instagram is always spot on, always great, always hilarious, and super relatable. And it's funny because like the more I've helped out in video and been in these videos, like people, I knew that it was a big company, but it had a big social presence, but I didn't realize like people come out of the woodwork that like I haven't spoken to in 20 years to be like, did I just see you in a Betches video? And I'm like, yes, you did. I just happened to be sitting there when they filmed it. Like, but it's cool. No, it's super cool. And I feel like, we can use all the girl power we can get on the internet.
Yes, love that. And I know sometimes like whenever I'm tuning into, cause like I listen to the weekly episodes of You Up, and I'll occasionally hear Candace or Jorge kind of come on.
Jorge. Yeah. Jorge's the man. Jorge is great. It's a good team. It's a really good team over there. And like everyone's just chill. Like you would think when you hear like betches, like you would think like office drama, and like it's not, like it's really not. There's no office drama, to be honest, because we're all so involved in like mining pop culture drama, like Bravo drama. Like that's all the drama we need.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. And, you know, and I know like the whole Taylor Swift and, you know, Travis Kelce stuff. I know you all have been covering that as well. Like, I love it. I just love how you all have been like, covering that too. So yeah, keep on doing it.
Minute to minute. When I tell you those two don't do anything without us covering it. Like, I swear to God. Like, it is wild.
Like,
but the Swifties love it.
Exactly.
The Swifties love it. They want it.
Yeah. Like we'll have to, we'll manifest Travis and Taylor onto the show, like onto
that's right,
Betches, and onto this show.
Without it, oh God, our founders would fall over if we could get Tay Tay in the office. It's only a matter of time.
Yes, exactly. It's gonna happen. I just know it. I know it. So yeah, like, what is it like dating on the apps as a comedian? Like, because like, you know, we already kind of like, you know, dating on the apps, but I want to know, like, is there like a difference, like dating as a comedian when people know that you're
yes. A very different flavor. Oh man, yeah, for sure. I mean, you name it. Like, you know, I get guys that are like, you know, of course, just like, that's so cool that you're a comedian. Like, love that. Would love to come to see you perform. Awesome. Love that. All about it. Then I have the guys that are like, you know, I'm also pretty funny.
Oh,
I always thought that I could do stand-up comedy. And I'm like, I bet you did. I had a man recently that was like, you know, it started off strong, being like, oh, love that. Like, I'm a total comedy nerd, like blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, cool. Like, who do you like? He's like, lists a bunch of comedians. I was like a bunch of comedians. I was like, cool. That's a pretty extensive list. Noticed no women in there. He was like, yeah, I got to be honest. Like, my sense of humor is pretty sexist.
Oh, God.
Flat out. And I was like, well, thank you for letting me know. I don't know that this is going to work. He's like, I'm like, oh, if you don't get it, you're not going to get it. But like,
right.
This whole, like, you cannot date a female comedian while under the impression that women aren't funny. Like, it's just not going to work. So, especially because I got a pretty hefty praise kink, babe, and I need you to laugh at what I say. It just is, it's that simple. So, like, it just is, yeah, I mean, there can be a bit of that, like, it's a little bit, there's like a little like dancing monkey moments for sure, where they're just like, so tell me a joke.
Oh my goodness. I heard comedians hate when people say that, and I hate when I hear people say that to comedians. So yes.
Yeah. My friend, my dear friend and comedy partner, Tess Tregellis, who I highly recommend you checking out, everyone, if you're online. Her handle is @TessTreg. She has a phenomenal bit in her stand-up about this, which is basically like, you know, guys are like, tell me a joke. And she's like, well, I don't ask you to do your job in front of me. Like, it's just, I won't ruin the punchline, but find her and find it, because it is like can you imagine if we went on a date with a dude who was whatever, an entrepreneur, and we were just like, please do some business. Show me your business.
Exactly. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I just tell people, like, I'm off the clock, babe. Like, unless you're paying for a ticket, I'm not here to perform.
Exactly. Right. Like, you as a comedian, you put so much work and effort into putting together these pieces. Like, yeah, this isn't free content that you're just giving away. Yeah, like it's
right. I do enough free content on the internet. Like, go subscribe, go follow my Instagram. Okay, like
right, exactly.
You got to pay the toll. But I for the most part, it's been cool. I think like there's never a moment where I don't like walk into a room with a bunch of like non-comedians or muggles and and be introduced to the room of like, oh, this is Jaz, she's a comedian. And people are always like, oh my God, that's so interesting. That's so cool. Like people always want to know what the deal is, which is cool. I'm like, you don't even know if I'm funny yet. Like I could be a terrible comedian. But it's always like it does interest people. So that's good. But for the most part, I try to keep it separate from my, I mean, it's on my profile, but it's, I try not to talk about it too much unless people are like truly interested. Cause then you start to feel like a science project too. You're like, for the longest time, I already had to be like, I'm a comedian and I'm in an open marriage. Like, oh God, like I literally am just under the microscope of people being like, sitting down and being like, it's less of like, so tell me about your childhood. They're just like, how does your whole life work? Like, I don't understand it. And it's like, all right, okay. Let's talk about you for a while.
Right.
Yeah. But, you get it. Like, sometimes being somebody who is like used to being a performer, it can be easy on a date. Like if that person's kind of dry or they're just either, like it's an instinct to pull the weight and like fill the silence, make it an interesting time. But at the end, you're like, that was actually kind of a lot of emotional labor that, and there was not a ton of return. So like everyone comes away from a date with me being like, that was great. We had a great time. And I'm like, I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, because you were the one that was pretty much carrying that entire date. Yeah, that is taxing.
Yeah. So to me, like one of my biggest stipulations is like when I'm looking for somebody to date is they have to be able to make me laugh. They have to be able, like I can't be the only funny person in a relationship. Like I need somebody who can also perform for me. That is a big top of my list. However, I do not date male comedians.
All right.
Just a naturally funny. I say that and I'm going to end up like marrying a fucking male comedian.
Right.
Oh God, no, don't let me do that. No, I mean, there's like, it's hot. I mean, you're in the same world. So it's like, we've all done it. We've all like intermingled, but it's usually, you're just like, oh, you're just as like fucked up as I am. No. I don't know. Male comedians, they just give me the creeps. It's just like there's like I feel like there's something like it's funny because male comedians and female comedians, we have to have a different approach, right? Because for female comedians, historically, people are rooting for us to fail. So we have to come with all of the confidence. Like we have to step up on stage and be like, I fucking belong here.
Yes.
Male comedians, and I'm generalizing here, but a lot of them, their shtick is like, I'm a piece of shit. and it's like, okay. But when that also stays with them off stage and you're like, that's not really an attractive quality. Something that I say, that's not very nice, but I say it anyway, is I'm like, all these fucking like male comedians that are self-hating and none of their penises work. It's just like they come up on stage, they talk a big game, they put on the show and then they get back and they're like, mommy, and in the bedroom. And you're like, nope, no. I'm not here I'm not here to do, there's post-nut clarity and then there's post-nut charity. And I'm not trying to therapize you in the bedroom. That's been my experience so far. Hey, if there's a male comedian out there listening to this and you want to prove me wrong, let's go.
All right, you heard it here first. So I guess kind of, segueing from that kind of leads like me into like this next topic because, are there certain like dating icks that kind of come to mind that annoy you? And like it kind of sounds like it might be most of these male comedians that might be ick. But yes, are there any like dating icks that come to mind?
Yes, for sure. I mean, for me, it's like nothing to me is hotter than a man. I know that's the opposite of the question you asked, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to me hotter than a man who can embrace his masculinity by being humble and open. Like the toxic masculinity, the like, I'm the man kind of shit that like, again, is very transparent. Like to me, when I see someone trying very hard to prove their worth and their masculinity, to me, like that screams insecurity.
Yes.
And I don't expect anyone to be perfect. Like that's overrated and boring, but like embrace your flaws, like be able to laugh at them, don't be in denial about who you are. Like, just embrace the parts of you that aren't the greatest, be on a mission maybe to better yourself every day. But like, the people that are just like, I'm hot shit 24/7, but you can see the cracks in their facade. Like, I just cannot with that. Guys who talk too much and don't listen. Guys who tell you how you feel.
Ooh, yeah.
The guys that are like, I know you want me. Oh, I can't. Like, I can't with that. I'm like,
yeah, that is a huge ick.
Oh my God. And you'd be surprised like how much it is out there of like, I'm like, this is not like Jedi mind tricks. Like, it's like, they're like, you want to sleep with me. Like, that doesn't work. That does not work. Like, if I want to sleep with you, trust me, I will let you know. I'm not afraid to let you know that it's on. But like, yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, yeah, mansplain my emotions to me. Thank you. I was unclear. Yeah, I mean, I guess I will say there's like, sometimes there are a lot of girls that are like, ew, like mustaches give me the ick. I'm like, give me a mustache. I love a daddy stash. That's my like reverse ick. I'm like, yes, you're either giving like, I don't know, like, there's whatever vibe your mustache is giving, whether it's like Brooklyn bartender or retired fire chief, like I'm into it. I'm into your mustache. So I just want to say for the people that are worried about their mustaches, there are some girls out there that are all about
it. There's some mustache owners out there right now that are just rejoicing and like, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to shave my mustache off.
Sigh of relief. Yeah, no, I got you. It's to me like the Peter Pans of the world. Like you can miss me with that shit. Like I'm not into like the man-child energy. Like somebody who can embrace their daddy energy. And that's not everyone, like, which is fine. Everyone's different. But if you want to get with me, if you want to be my lover, you have to like embrace your daddy energy. And I don't mean sugar daddy, though applications are open. I mean, like, you are a grown ass man who has your shit together. You know who you are. You can embrace it. And you want to like take care of your woman in all the ways, like you just, I love a man who can lean into his caretaker energy. Like that to me is really, really attractive. And so ick central is the guys that are like, sup, want to hang out? Okay, cool. What do you want to do? And it's just like, no, fucking take some initiative, buddy.
No effort, nothing. Damn.
No effort, nothing. And to be fair, like women, stop letting dudes get away with that, like, cause it's worked for them before. And so then when I turn around, I'm very straight up with the people that I date where I will tell them flat out, I'm like, I'm seeing no effort here. Here's the thing. Like, and I've had this too, where it's like, there's really good in-person chemistry, but when we're not in the same room, like I'm not feeling like you're putting it, like you have to keep your dinner warm, like I have to be inspired up here when we're not together that I want to come back and see you again. And so like, remind me why I like you. And it goes both ways, like same with women, but for guys, this whole like gotta be aloof so they don't get any wild ideas. And now I know that this is a thing because when I was married, the way men treated me when they knew I wasn't going to try to wife them up was wild. They would go balls to the wall effort because they weren't worried about me getting too attached to them. And so I know you have it in you.
Right. Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it,
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, come on, y'all.
Shia LaBeouf.
Get on
Just
your,
do it.
Exactly. Get on y'all Nike shit. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Situaseans podcast is an open platform covering dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. If you are looking to advertise your brand or product or would like to sponsor the show, send an email to situaseanspod@gmail.com. That's situaseanspod@gmail.com.
What is the, I guess, kind of speaking of cringe too, like, what is the most like cringe or annoying thing about adulting or even dating in your 30s? Just doing anything in your 30s at all, like whether it be, millennial issues, student loans, like that unhinged neighbor, baby boomers, what? Like, yeah, tell me.
God, being a millennial is hard. Being a millennial is really hard because boomers blame us for everything. Gen Z thinks we suck. Like, and we are cool.
Right. Like, we're cool. We got Riz or whatever they say.
Yeah. Which I finally learned what that means. I'm like, no Riz, just a hot girl with stomach issues over here. I'm very honest about it. Millennials get such a bad rap, and it's like, we're fucking trying out here with the cards we've been dealt. Okay. We were handed some pretty shitty stuff. We're dealing with like our parents' generation that are like brutal, like under therapized, Gen Z below us who are over therapized. And we're just here like, please don't judge me anymore. I just want to live my life and afford to buy a house someday. Maybe. Yeah, honestly, like fucking trying to get decent healthcare. Just like being an adult, it's just like, I have to make so many decisions and I wasn't trained on how to make any of them. Like no one taught me how to do anything, but I know how to find, there's this meme that's circulating right now. And it's just like, so glad I learned about parallelograms in school for parallelogram season. Like instead of doing how to do my taxes, like I feel like our generation is just like, all right, we have to just fucking hustle so that we can afford to pay people who know what they're doing to do these things that we were never taught. Yeah. And so like, it is a grind and we must succeed. We get that whole like, oh, you got participation trophies and you're all special snowflakes. It's like, no, we're just trying to find some value in ourselves somewhere. And you know what? It's okay to want to feel special. Feels good.
Exactly. Like we are a traumatized generation because like, yeah, we,
oh my God.
Right. We grew up during the, what is it? Another depression or whatever.
Oh my God. Like a fucking housing crisis, Y2K, yeah. 9/11, COVID. Fucking COVID, everything. Like, I just like, there are times where I'm like, haha, like people who believe in conspiracy theories are crazy. And then there are other days where I'm like, but that one about us going through a black hole into another dimension where everything got weirder all of a sudden kind of checks out.
Exactly.
I don't know what to believe anymore. Like we're in an age where I'm like, is this headline real or fake? Because everything that's real sounds fake.
Exactly.
Now, like,
and AI is just getting so much better. And like, it's like, whoa, like,
I don't know who to trust.
Right.
Essentially no one. I trust no one.
Right. I mean, Jaz, is this podcast even real? Like, am I really here talking with you? Is this even like happening? This is probably AI.
No. My whole, like, at least once a day, I'm like, this is a simulation.
Right.
There's no doubt this is not a simulation. I'm in my little pod full of liquid, hanging out. So none of this matters. Maybe that's a helpful thought. But there are like it feels, and I know like this is probably like a very narcissistic tendency, but like there are days where I'm like, this is too Truman Showy for me. Like,
yeah,
I am the lead in this movie. There's no way. Shit just happens by chance. Yeah, maybe that's another part of it for us millennials. We grew up with movies like The Truman Show and The Matrix, and we're all like, what is real? What is not real?
Oh,
why is everyone looking at me? And they're like, no one's looking at you.
Right. Some folks took the red pill. Some folks took the blue pill. Yeah,
yeah, it's wild. It's like nothing surprises me anymore. I just, like what I try to do and what I try to tell others to do is just stay present, just keep breathing, just do the next right thing. Try not to zoom out because the big picture is a fucking dumpster fire. So just do what you can do today. That's going to bring you some happiness and somebody else some happiness. And keep breathing. Life is short, but it's also very fucking long.
Yes. Ain't it? Ain't that the truth? And, and just with that as well, so tell us, like, what are you looking for in a partner? Like, especially as you were just saying, like live your life to the fullest, live your life as best as you can. So yeah, what do you look for in a partner?
Yeah. Oh, I have to say, it's funny, like now looking for partners post divorce, I almost think, and you might relate to this, like I find it to be almost better because there's no mystery around like marriage, the mountaintop, it's like, it's no longer this big life thing you have to check off your list. So it allows me to be way more present and more, kind of like picky and more specific about the things that I want because I don't, there's no longer this like thing of like the happily ever after. I need to try and find somebody to squish into this box. So now it's just like, I feel truly like one thing about me is like, do not waste my time in any aspect of life. My time is very valuable. I charge a lot of money for my time. So if I'm with somebody and I feel like my time is well spent, I feel like I'm learning something from them. I'm being challenged. I can laugh with them. Tall, dark, handsome doesn't hurt. But also like, yeah, they know who they are. They know what they bring to the table. They're honest about their flaws. They have their shit together. None of these like disgusting bathrooms with crunchy towels, fucking miss me with that. Not it, know how to adult at this point. And really it's just knowing that like, this is somebody you don't, if you find something where it's like, we don't need each other, but we really, really want each other and we like sharing time together. Being with this person makes life better, significantly more bearable. And so, yeah, all you tall, dark, funny, handsome guys with good jobs and washed towels, you can find me at Jaz Zap on the Instagram.
All right. I'll submit my application as well, just in case.
That's right. You fit the bill, babe. You fit the bill. Yeah. Geographically undesirable, unfortunately. But
we'll make it work. And yes, and to the tall, dark, handsome guys out there that do decide to waste Jaz's time, she's gonna send you an invoice. All right, you heard that.
That's right. You can look out for a what is it? A QuickBooks email. Yeah. Exactly.
And and I really like that you brought up so many good points because like absolutely it's important to know like what it is that you want in yourself and in a partner and kind of like what it is that you want to build. And so like what do you think are like keys to a successful relationship?
Oh yeah, I mean truly, this is so cliche, but like you have to be communicating even more than you think you have to. Like there are so many things that get missed, or not only because you're feeling them and your partner doesn't know, but because if you're not having conversations, you're not stopping to take a breath and think about where you're at and the things that you want. This is why people go to therapy. It's not to sit and cry to a stranger. It's because this is an appointment where you are obligated to show up and think about where you're at, because we get so busy, we don't stop to consider it. So because there are times where like, and I know this has happened to people who are listening, where you're in a relationship and boom, you wake up one day and a year or 3 years or 10 years has gone by and you're like, how did I get here? And it's because you weren't stopping to take an assessment of what you wanted or where you were at or how you had changed or how they had changed. And so to me, it's like you have to be checking in with each other. You have to know you have to be checking in with yourself and be aligned on your values. Not only that, but how your values might change. Like I was all about getting married and having a traditional thing and buying a house and doing the thing and having the kids. And then I changed. And then my plans changed and his did not. And that is a hard crossroads to come to, but an important one to realize before you buy the house and have those kids and realize you're not in alignment. For me, like I have and continue to have, plan to continue to have a big, interesting career and a big, interesting life. And sure, like kids may play into that in maybe a non-traditional way. And so like to be upfront about that and know that somebody is on board to take that adventure with me is imperative, because there's no need. These are big life things and there's no need to compromise. There are compromises that will be made, but decide which ones you're willing to make and which ones you're not.
Absolutely. You all heard it here. Definitely advocate for yourself, because no one can advocate for you better than you can for yourself. And know what you want. I love everything that you've been saying so far, Jaz. Just dropping so much insightful knowledge. Love that.
Thank you. Yeah. Happy to do it.
Absolutely. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Hit that 5-star review, because I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. All right, so we got a listener submission, and this one is like a really deep dive as far as like an unhinged Tinder opener. Jaz, are you ready to unpack this with me?
I'm so excited. Yes, please.
All right, yes, let's get to it. Okay, so this listener submitted this. So, again, it is an anonymous submission. So if, actually really quickly to anybody, if you want to submit your stories or your questions and, have us unpack it on the show, submit it to situationspodcast.com/submit. And if you have an ick, if a guy sends like an unsolicited dick pic, or, some guy or woman or whoever did something unhinged, send that to situationspodcast.com/ick. All right.
That is maybe the single best link in the world. /ick.
Yes. But yes, don't send us the dick pics, y'all. We would like
you can send those to me at Jaz. No, I'm kidding.
Situation podcast is not
Consent given.
Awesome. So this submission, so a woman, anonymous woman has submitted it. And so she took a screenshot of these 3 different guys that sent messages to her, Tinder when she matched with them. And we're going to go ahead and unpack it. So it says, "Hi, Sean. I have a few unhinged screenshots to share with you, as well as a link to a Twitter thread I started in 2020 with more of them. Signed, your..." Yeah, I know, right?
She's got an archive.
Exactly. So I ended up pulling a couple of the screenshots from the thread. I'm like, oh God, like this is wild.
Wow.
Signed, your favorite redhead. I think I know who this is. Cause so like I sometimes like people that I know will submit, and then people I don't know will submit. I wish more people that I knew would submit.
I don't want you airing my dirty laundry.
Yeah, right. They're like, damn, I can't tell you this. I don't want you to judge. I won't judge.
You won't look at me the same way.
Right?
Careful what you wish for, because your therapist will be sliding in here like, I had a threesome after I dropped acid.
Right. Right. I bring it up on a therapy session. Yeah. So, like someone has submitted something about this. My therapist was like, like, wow, like an encounter like that. I can only imagine it's like, that sounds a little bit familiar. Wait a minute.
Sounds like it would be great content for your show.
Exactly. I wonder who would have submitted that. But anyway. So, so what the screenshot says, so it says, the first screenshot, some guy submitted it, and, some guy had, sent the first opener message, and it says, if the coronavirus doesn't get inside you, can I? Wow.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts.
Jazz, I need you to start this one off because I'm lost for words.
Here's my thing, right? Is like sex and sexuality. It's a lot. Well, people call it it's sensual for a reason, right? You're employing the senses, which is why, when you think about sexual things, you want to think about strawberries and chocolate, or like a satin sheet, or whatever it is, right? What you are evoking from the senses when you talk about coronavirus is a lot of phlegm, a lot of death, a lot of, it's not something you want to associate with your sex life at all.
Yeah. And
so you're immediately painting a disgusting picture for someone. And to me, there's also, in the year 2024, there's so few people that have not had COVID. So my immediate response would just be actually, COVID's already been inside me, so you're good. There's nothing more for you to do here. I think your job is done.
Exactly. And I think it's even more unhinged on the guy's part that submitted, that said that, message or whatever, because looking at this screenshot, it says that that they matched together on April 2nd, 2020. So this was literally a month into everything going haywire. So,
that's not okay. Especially that was such a triggering time for people. You just don't know who you're approaching with that,
Exactly.
I mean, this guy though, the kind of person who leads with this is going for shock factor. Oh. They are somebody who clearly gets off in shocking and appalling people. So whether you responded or not, that was fully for him. That was to me, that's a masturbatory gesture.
Oh, absolutely. And on top of that, this is giving a guy who thinks he's a funny comedian or whatever. It's kind of some of the people that you said you've dated with, in the past. It's giving that
a fucking day trader who just is bored. Stick to your day job, buddy.
Exactly. It's finance bro who thinks he's a comedian.
Yeah. The guy who's used to paying for female company so he can get away with saying shit like that.
Yeah. Unhinged as hell. And then, so then this second screenshot in the series, so this was a few days later on April 5th of 2020. So, I know, right? This.
To be fair, the collective mental health at that time was not at its best.
Yeah.
If we're going to play devil's advocate, it was a dark time.
Right. I think the coronavirus got inside these men.
Big time. People were very lonely and desperate.
Oh yeah, they was you know what? I'm gonna just shoot my shot. We can't go out.
What do I have to lose?
Exactly. So the second one says, not into gingers, but I heard they have some tasty pussy. Oh.
So why are you here?
Right. Right.
That's like a weird backwards compliment. And like I say this a lot to guys, like, because they're another huge ick when guys come out like just with like full on negging energy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you should be trying to convince me to date you.
Right.
So like I am now, you've already told me you're not interested and you're gross. This is not a winning combination.
Seriously. It's like, yeah, it's like, get the fuck off of this person's profile.
Right.
And so this last one says, let me and my friends take turns on you. Whew. And this was sent.
Period?
Yeah. Right. That's it. And this was sent literally the same day as the last message that I just read. So
okay. Something was going on with the planets. Something was going on with the election year. Something was going on. This week, this day, that might have been the day that our galaxy went through the black hole to the different dimension. Because what is going on? And also, again, I am not one to victim shame. But I want to know what her profile looked like on that day that was eliciting such intense and graphic. Yeah. Like, what is the vibe you're putting out? Can I get some pointers? Because you are driving men absolutely out of their minds.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like these guys are ready to risk it all. Like risk COVID, like at the time, like risking, like, like catching COVID or catching COVID. But,
yeah. But to me, this guy is like, look, I haven't seen my friends in a while. I feel like I need to give them a really good incentive to leave their homes. Can we run a train on you? For the sake of solidarity, sticking together through a hard time, we need human connection.
Oh my goodness, yeah, like these guys are just wilding the fuck out, yeah. And so when the listener has submitted this like recently, like when I was like reading through this, I was like, oh my goodness, like these cannot be real. But yeah, just reading like the Twitter thread, I was like, oh my goodness, like yeah. Yeah, something. And see, I've heard so many stories from my, like from my lady friends about men sending shit like this. But to just see these screenshots like firsthand, or even whenever they share like unsolicited dick pics, I'm like, wow. Like, I'm so sorry. Like the women have to go through this. Yeah,
I feel blessed in that I have not received an unsolicited dick pic in many, many years. And I don't know if it's because I'm a comedian and people are worried I might put them on blast, or if it's because I like dick pics and it takes all the fun out of it. They're like, I can't offend you with my penis, and you'll probably make a joke about it. And that's a lose-lose. Right.
Awesome. So we have a three little Hinge or Unhinged kind of like speed round dating app screenshots that we kind of like, want to unpack like really quickly. Will you be able to do that with me?
Oh, I'm down.
All right. Awesome. Okay, let's get into it. So whenever these screenshots come in, so again, like listeners, they submit their screenshots of like, it doesn't matter if it's like on any of the dating app profiles, they'll see a little Unhinged prompt, they'll screenshot it, submit it to the show, and yeah, we unpack it. So,
great.
All right. So this is
Hinged or Unhinged?
Or Unhinged. Mm-hmm. All right. And I wanted to add this one in on purpose because this one is another, kind of pop culture media, and I'm like, okay, bet you I gotta tie this one in with Jazz.
Love it.
All right. So this one says, I'm convinced that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will be the couple of the year. Hinged or Unhinged?
Hinged. I mean, they're completely spot on. Like, whether we like it or not, people will not stop talking about it. So,
oh yeah,
they are the couple of the year. It's an unfortunate truth, but you know what? They both look really happy, and so that makes me happy. Why not enjoy it?
Exactly. And on top of that, oh my God, like the amount of revenue that this is bringing in for the Super Bowl and NFL entirely, like,
it is wild. Another simulation-y kind of vibe. Like, of course they're in the Super Bowl.
Right. Right, exactly. Like whoever wrote the script for this NFL season, like,
Exactly. Shonda, is that you?
Right? Yeah, Shonda Rhimes. Where are you? Exactly. Oh my goodness. And honestly, as a fellow Swiftie, I just love this. And on top of that, I do want to say that Travis and Tay-Tay, they are not allowed to break up because if they do, oh my goodness, like it'll be a social media firestorm. So
I feel like that will be the first sign of the apocalypse.
Right.
And then next, like a large volcano will explode. Like that's how I feel like it will go down.
Exactly. So yeah, they're not allowed to break up. Yeah, because like too much is at stake.
That's right. They're holding the hopes and dreams of all of us who have not much left to hold on to.
So this next one says, okay, so this one really stood the fuck out because like I took offense to this one personally because I am 6'5" and like yeah, I was like
6'5".
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. We know you're getting play on the apps, big boy.
I hold up. So this one says you should not go out with me if you are 6 foot or taller. I don't need to look like a lost child at the grocery store.
Oh my God. That's so funny. That's also like the complete opposite of what you typically hear.
Yes.
You know, there's like such the backwards, like, you know, I feel like men are very, many men are very sensitive now to the short king, you know, vibe. And most girls are all about, well, especially too, like in New York, like not me, but like so many women here are like 5'10" models. You know what I mean? Like they need a 6'5" man. So, you know, that is, I've not heard that one. However, there's got to be some women out there for the short kings. And so I feel like I'm assuming this is a woman's profile and she's doing a public service. Like, I feel like in a way, I'm like, good for her. There are probably a lot of guys on the apps that are like, oh, fucking finally. The tall guys, they have plenty. You have enough. You know, like give this one to the short kings.
All right, to all the short kings out there. All right, y'all get a point for the day.
Yeah,
I'll even give you 10 points for Gryffindor.
Short kings need love too.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, is this one hinged or unhinged? What are we thinking?
I'm gonna say hinged. I'm going to say it's hinged because like this girl knows what she wants and she's laying it out. She knows her type and she's putting it out there in a way that is honest, but still funny. You know, she's using humor to soften the blow to all the tall guys that might be interested in her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This is like my first time ever, like, you know, seeing a prompt like this. I was like, what? Like people don't.
Honestly.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah. Being biased, I'm going to just say unhinged. But
you don't know what you're missing, lady.
Right. Exactly. Come on. Give me a chance. No. But,
what's hotter? What's hotter than infantilizing yourself with the man you're dating?
So I'll kind of like I'll be on both ends of the spectrum. I'll say unhinged because like
it's a personal attack. Yeah, absolutely.
But but very hinged because at least this person spoke their truth and she knows what she wants. So yeah, pop on.
That's right.
All right, last one. So this one says the way to win me over is help a girl out and plan a nice date because my brain is mush at the end of the day. Hinged or unhinged?
So to me, unhinged means like a little kooky crazy. I think this reads to me like she's in her right mind, but she's a little bit lazy. Like and here's the thing. There's also like I think there are better ways to tell men, like, I would like you to take some initiative. As opposed to just being like, I don't plan dates because I have a job. It's like, yeah, no shit. We all have jobs. Like, you think I want to go scrolling through Yelp at the end of a long day? Like, no. I'm on timeout in New York with my last 2 brain cells being like, we could do a blind pottery class. Like, no, I don't want to be doing that. But you got to pay to play. You got to put in some effort, and again, all about men taking more accountability and putting in more effort into the dating game for sure. But just say like, I like a man who takes initiative, as opposed to just like, I cannot be bothered.
I agree. Yeah. It's unhinged the way she communicated this.
Yeah. Just the rationale is a little unhinged. Like, I work. Like, oh, okay. Only stay-at-home girlfriends plan dates? Wow.
And what I'm finding sometimes whenever listeners will submit these, sometimes it's from their own profile, sometimes it's a screenshot. Like sometimes like they'll let me know, like if it's whether it's theirs or someone else's. But
right.
The ones that do submit it like themselves, like sometimes I'm almost get the vibe of, do they want me to kind of like give them a little bit of free dating advice with the guest? Like, yeah, you should change your profile to say this.
They want to be validated in their bad choices. That's what they want. Right. They want Daddy Sean to be like, it's okay, you're doing good. But that's not, no. As you can tell, that's not this podcast. Right. We're not enabling your bad dating behavior here. We are here to call you out in a healthy and productive way.
Exactly. Daddy Sean, that's the subscription episode. That's the midnight episode.
That's a different subscription platform. You won't find that on the Patreon.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you, just unpacking everything with me today, Jaz. This was like a really, 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 really great episode. I really appreciate you being here and just doing it all with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to share this, and just hope that somebody listening feels slightly more enlightened today or laughed at least one of my dick jokes. Either way, it's a win for me.
Absolutely. And yeah, tell all of our listeners how they can connect with you and follow all things jazz.
All things jazz can be found on Instagram at jazz with 1 Z _zap with 2 P's. And Jaz Zap, that's me. You can find my funny songs. You can find my sketches. You can find my stand-up clips. I literally broadcast my life all day on stories with my funny revelations. And also that's where I post all my upcoming shows in case you find yourself in the city or you're already New York based, come out to a show. Would love to see you and be friends. IRL.
All right. Love that. Yes. And, just seeing all of your reels on Instagram and everything, and just seeing even like the ones from, your stand-up pieces as well. I really love how you can connect with the audience. I really love what you're doing. Next time I'm in New York, I'm going to have to come see your show. And
Sean, you got to come out. You got to come to New York. The women here are starving for a 6'5" daddy who's got a good sense of humor and knows the ins and outs of dating. You would crush here. Just saying.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words, Jaz. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And I appreciate how, you know what you want. Like, you are so driven, so motivated, such a powerful woman. And oh my goodness, like, you would thrive here in Chicago because let me tell you, like the drive that you have, that is just so fucking sexy and attractive. So like, legit, go all the way the fuck off. Keep it up.
Sean, you have to stop or I will fall in love with you. Thank you so much for having me on. This was so much fun. And now you had a guest host, but now you have a new dedicated listener in me. So I'm excited to check out all the episodes on your show.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. And you are now an official friend of the podcast. You are welcome back whenever.
Friend of the podcast.
Wait, do I have it? I think I can do it. Let's see. Where's that air horn?
I am obsolete. They are right. I am being replaced by technology slowly but surely.
Yes. Well, I definitely love everything that you're doing. Like, yeah, let's definitely stay in touch, stay in contact and everything. And, with all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. There are 3 ways that you can tune into the podcast. Well, we're everywhere, but those 3 ways that you can submit to the podcast. Situationspodcast.com/submit. You can call the hotline 312-586-2664. Send your voicemail submissions there. It's not my personal number. Y'all have keep asking, stop asking.
So you getting some you up text to that number?
I have gotten a couple. I was like, oh my goodness. Also, you can also submit by emailing the podcast, situationspod@gmail.com. And if you're on a plane, a train, a bus, if you're in the 3rd dimension, if you're Jaz's neighbor or second cousin twice removed, you can listen to Situations podcast and take this podcast with you wherever you go. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can now watch on Spotify. Yes, you heard that. And we're on YouTube, youtube.com/@situationspod. And yes, I love you all. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!